Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
This holiday, whether you're making a Kroger Simple Truth Turkey for 40 or a Murray's Baked Brie for 2, Kroger has fast, fresh delivery and free pickup, so you can make holiday meals that bring you all together to create memories that last. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
Get more ways to save at the Buy 5 or More Save $1 each sale. Just buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Welcome. In the Beginner's Guide to the Lord of the Rings podcast, we explore the foundational, epic stories from the deep past of Middle-earth. If you enjoyed JRR Tolkien's books, or maybe just Peter Jackson's movies, or perhaps you're excited for the new Lord of the Rings TV series by Amazon Studios, and you want to dive deeper into the rich world of Middle-earth, then listen and subscribe. Mango Vanyan, fellow wanderers. This episode date is December 19. On this day in Middle-earth, in the year 3020, Samwise returns home to the Shire. And in the real world, year 2001, 20 years ago, the worldwide release of the Fellowship of the Ring. These tidbits come from Today in Middle-earth History Calendar on theonering.net. Go check it out. In this episode, we will discuss: how was Middle-earth created? What are the powers that govern Middle-earth? Where did Gandalf come from? Is there a villain more evil than Sauron? In short, yes. Yes, there is. We'll discuss all this and more coming right up. This podcast will share stories from a book called The Silmarillion, written by JRR Tolkien and published by Ballantine Books in 1977. This book is a collection of myths and foundational stories that give a rich depth to the Lord of the Rings legendarium. I recommend that you read The Silmarillion someday. If you do read it, here are some tips. The first time you read it, don't try to remember all the names and plots. Just get a high-level view of the major narrative pieces. The second time, you will start to connect the narrative pieces, and the characters will make more sense to you. The third time will be your most enjoyable yet, because the whole book will feel like a great epic tale. The fourth time, you will feel like you're coming home to Middle-earth. The fifth time you read the Silmarillion, you can make a podcast. The first tale in the Silmarillion is called Ayulindale. The Ayulindale begins with Eru, also known as the One, or Iluvatar. Iluvatar is the god, the creator of all things that come after. His first creation are an order of powerful spirits known as the Einar, or Holy Ones. Iluvatar shares with the Einar a musical theme, and they, being inspired, begin to sing for Iluvatar. Their music grows into a great symphony of melodies and harmonies. But then, one of the Ainur, named Melkor, begins to weave melodies of his own, not of Iluvatar, into the music. Melkor had the greatest gifts of power and knowledge, and that made him impatient and quite arrogant. His desire was to create beings of his own that would worship him. When he starts weaving his own melodies into the music, Iluvatar's great theme becomes discorded, despondent, and disturbed before petering out altogether. Iluvatar will have none of that, though. He begins a second theme, different from the first, and yet Melkor again creates a war of sound, worse than before. Not to be dismayed, Iluvatar starts a third theme, and Melkor attempts to thwart it. Yet this third theme is deep and wide and beautiful, but slow and blended with an immeasurable sorrow from which its beauty chiefly came. A quick aside for a moment. This third musical theme, I think, is a huge hint to the mournful underpinnings that lay all throughout the Lord of the Rings works. Tolkien certainly was no stranger to sadness and mourning in his life, and yet I think he found a beauty and nobility in sorrow, and he imbued his works with that same sorrowful beauty. Back to the third theme. Melkor's music is loud, vain, endlessly repeated, with little harmony, but rather clamorous unison. And even as Melkor attempts to drown Ilúvatar's theme, Ilúvatar proves the master, as the greatest notes of Melkor's theme become interwoven with Ilúvatar's. Then Ilúvatar stands triumphant, and with one final chord, the music ends. Ilúvatar breaks the silence and instructs the Ainur to behold your music. Now the Ainur can see in vision what before they had only heard, a new world. As they watch, the history of the world unfolds before them as a living, growing thing. Ilúvatar teaches the Ainur that each of them has had a part in its creation, even Melkor. And as they study in awe the creation of their music, they see things that even the wisest of them couldn't foresee. The coming of the children of Ilúvatar. The children of Ilúvatar come from his thought only, and none of the Ainur had a hand in creating them. The children of Ilúvatar are elves, known as the firstborn, and men, known as the followers. Many of the Ainur are filled with love for the children of Ilúvatar, and desired to order all things for their good. And Melkor, because he envied their gifts, desired to dominate the elves and men, and to be a master, and to be served. One of the compelling themes of The Lord of the Rings is adventure, where unlikely heroes leave the comfort of home in order to save it. I want to tell you about another such adventure, Shuna's Journey by Hayao Miyazaki, the creator who brought you the anime classic Spirited Away. Shuna's Journey is a charming story, long beloved in the Japanese language, and is now available in English for the first time. In this beautiful book, join Shuna, the prince of a poor land, who watches in despair as his people work themselves to death harvesting the little grain that grows there. When a traveler presents him with mysterious seeds, Shuna sets out to find the source of the golden grain, dreaming of a better life for his people. The New Yorker Online calls it beautiful. We rely on the children in Miyazaki's stories to explain his beautiful, broken worlds to us, and to assure us they will fix them. The art in Shuna's Journey has a raw simplicity that will enchant you. Find Shuna's Journey by Hayao Miyazaki on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, at Target, and more. Pick up a copy today and join Shuna on his adventure.
This holiday, whether you're making a Kroger Simple Truth Turkey for 40 or a Murray's Baked Brie for 2, Kroger has fast, fresh delivery and free pickup, so you can make holiday meals that bring you all together to create memories that last. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
Get more ways to save at the Buy 5 or More Save $1 each sale. Just buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
And so these Ainur left the timeless halls of Ilúvatar in order to fashion the world of their music and vision, in preparation for the children of Ilúvatar. Those who came into the world are known by the Valar, the powers of the world. Their fate and power became forever intertwined with the world. But when they came to the world, they were confused. What they found was nothing like what they had seen in the vision. Then they understood that they were there to achieve it, to shape the vision into reality. Even so, Melkor coveted the growing world and claimed it for his kingdom. But the other Valar, led by Manwë, reclaimed it for Ilúvatar, and Melkor withdrew from them. So they began to mold the world. Each of the Valar brought unique gifts, and so crafted after the portion of Ilúvatar's music that lived within them. They strove to prepare the world for the coming of the firstborn. Yet, whatever they built, Melkor sought to destroy. Valleys, mountains, seas, Melkor would follow after to undo or corrupt their work. So in the end, in no place was the vision of the Valar fully formed, but slowly the earth became fashioned. This tale ends as such. Thus was the habitation of the children of Ilúvatar established, at last in the deeps of time, and amidst the innumerable stars. We're not done yet. If you like this episode, please leave a review and share with your friends. And remember to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be right back. Now, some final thoughts on the villains, the enemies. We talked about Melkor before. The elves named him Morgoth, the enemy of the world. To some extent, he shared in all the gifts of the other Valar, but corrupted them to evil purposes. He desired domination over all creations. In his arrogance, his wisdom degraded to perverted deceit. He descended into darkness, and filled it with fear for all living things. Melkor was so great in power that he was able to persuade many Maiar into his service, including the demons of fire and terror that the elves called Balrogs. You remember the Balrog that contended with Gandalf in Moria. Remember, "Swords are no more use here, you shall not pass." That clash was between two great spirits from the same class, the Maiar. That is why a seemingly old man could stand his ground and eventually defeat a creature made of fire and smoke. You may be familiar with another of the Maiar that Melkor persuaded into his service, Sauron, who became known as the Lord of the Rings. Before he joined Melkor, Sauron was a follower of Aule, the master craftsman. From Aule, Sauron gained great skill in creating beautiful things. It'll be in the Second Age that the One Ring and the other rings of power will be made, and if rumor holds true, this may be a focus of Amazon's Lord of the Rings TV series. But for now, Sauron had a part in all the evil deeds of Melkor. He was only slightly less evil, because for a time he had served Aule. But he became a shadow of Morgoth, a ghost of his malice, and walked behind him on the same ruinous path down into the void. Well, if you can remember all those names, I'm impressed. But now you know that Middle-earth was created by the music of the Ainur, as they sang to Iluvatar. The Ainur who came into the world became the Valar, and strove to govern the world for the good of the children of Iluvatar, the elves and men who would come. Helping the Valar are the Maiar, including Melian, Gandalf, and Sauron. And we are just getting started. My friends, if you enjoyed this episode, let me know by subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing with your friends. Until tomorrow, remember, not all those who wander are lost.
Nissan has been committed to the EV game since 1947. Their EVs have traveled 8 billion miles. 8 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010. From the North Pole to the Formula E track to your coworker's garage. Put the electric in EV with the Nissan Ariya and the Nissan Leaf. Visit nissanusa.com to learn more. Nissan, EVs that electrify.
This holiday, whether you're making a Kroger Simple Truth Turkey for 40 or a Murray's Baked Brie for 2, Kroger has fast, fresh delivery and free pickup, so you can make holiday meals that bring you all together to create memories that last. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
Get more ways to save at the Buy 5 or More Save $1 each sale. Just buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.